Hey, gang, it's the Les Buck Show. We don't have Wes Buck this week, but we've got Kayla Zadel, Donald Long, and Mason Wright. Let's do this.
Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered, this is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing. Prove me wrong, I'll wait.
Hey, gang, it's not Wes Buck. It's Mike Carpenter. We're going to be joined by Kayla Zadel, JT Hudson, the rest of the Drag Illustrated crew. We don't have Wes this week, and this is a monumental moment. This is the first Wes Buck show of all time where Wes didn't make it. Normally, he'll move mountains. He'll do anything to be on the show. But if you know Wes well enough, the one thing that could probably get him to miss his own show is some kind of crazy business growth conference in Las Vegas, which is what he's doing this week. So we gave him a little pass. We decided, though, that we can't miss this week's show. We've got Donald Long coming back to us again for another week after we had some technical snafus a couple of weeks ago to talk about the Shakedown coming up next weekend. We've got Kayla Zadel going to talk a little bit about her show, Reaction Time, that we have on Drag Illustrated each week, kind of recap some of the stuff that happened this past week in Chicago. And then we end up with Mason Wright, also talking about his huge win at the NHRA Route 66 Nationals in Chicago. So we forgot the date. It's Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. I always say that if I ever had to,
you got to have that in there, bro.
If I ever say, I always tell Wes, I don't know how you get the date right every time, but
it's on the top of your computer, Mike.
I know, right? I had to look. That's the cheat code right there. So let's bring in JT, our co-host for the day. What's up, dude?
The one Les Buck show. Yeah,
I know, right? I mean,
yeah.
I can't believe
it's like vacation
this is actually happening. Normally, we would be taking a vacation this week. We would have looked for every excuse in the world. Wes can't make it. He's out of town. Let's just skip the show. But
man, I was excited. I got a cooler ready next to me.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. When the boss is away, the rest of us are going to play. But we are going to talk about some drag racing and have some fun this week.
Yep.
But let's before we do that, let's bring on our other co-host for today and just make it a Drag Illustrated trifecta.
Ooh.
Oh, so we click her at the same time, JT.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. What's up, Kayla?
Not much. I gotta ask, how long have you been doing the Wes Buck show?
JT's been doing it longer than I've been doing it. When did you actually start doing it, JT?
I don't know. It's like what, 386 episodes in?
Yeah,
so
386 episodes, and this is the first one without Wes, which is pretty amazing, right?
That's impressive.
We got that far.
I thought he was crazy when he first started talking to his phone, on one of these deals. I was like, what? He's in the office right next to me. Like, what is he doing? Like, I was like low-key embarrassed for him when he was doing it. And he just kept practicing it. And then he shot like probably 10 episodes, but he never posted them. And because he'd rewatch them.
We need to dig those up.
Finally I just told him, well, I bet they're deleted, man. Because then he'd rewatch them, and then he would look at it and he'd go, oh, I stumbled there on some words, and I said, man, you're just gonna have to post it or it'll never get posted, without rewatching it. So
I feel like I stumble across them every once in a while. Like if I'm like searching through the DI archives for like some information or something, I'll see this.
Isn't that natural? I mean, isn't that like, like if you're watching, I mean, that's just normal.
Right. Yeah. We all got to start somewhere.
And everybody acts different.
That's the cheat code to doing this stuff is don't go back and watch, especially your first few episodes. When I first joined the show, JT was a couple of years ahead of me. They had to really pry it out of me to get me on here. And then I didn't watch it for like literally the first 6 months after we did it. and then eventually then you want to go back and see what you're doing wrong or if there's ways to improve or whatever. But it's definitely been an interesting deal, and now we've got your show, Kayla, Reaction Time, that airs every Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We got to give Kayla a round of applause for this show because let's do it.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Because she spends birthday because of that hat you got on behind you.
Oh,
yeah,
my background.
Yeah. Line it up. There you go. World's tiniest party hat back there.
There you go. Better.
But you spend every Sunday night. I mean, like Sunday night, we're kind of wrapping up the weekend. There's been a whole weekend of racing. At least for me, I'm trying to like gear up, get the kids back to school, gear up for the work week. And you're up all night, it seems like, putting together this show, recapping the news that literally just happened. A lot of times, if it's the NHRA event that ends, in the late afternoon, put that together with Blake Fontenelle, our producer, and have that thing ready to go every Monday morning. It airs here on Drag Illustrated. It airs on Flo's channels as well. What's that been like for you to kind of jump into that role and just the grind of doing that every week?
Well, you guys know what it's like trying to keep up with the show every week. You're so excited at first and you're kind of in that honeymoon phase. And then you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I do have to do this every week. But nonetheless, I do love doing it. I've just kind of accepted that my weeks start on Sunday now versus, Monday, which is fine. So if it's like an NHRA event, I'm usually working Sunday nights after the event ends. But what I will do throughout the afternoon is kind of like prep my shows. So like I have like a rundown that I follow. So I'll start like putting in different things, like whether like this past weekend, so Randy Couture revealed his pro mod. So I can get that already slated in my show, and some of the script or what it's called is like a shot sheet. So it's kind of like I make notes and stuff in there if I don't want to just read out a full script.
I'm starting to feel bad about how we do ours, Mike.
Yeah, that's a lot more preparation than we do for this show. In case you hadn't noticed, it's a little more off the cuff over here at the Wes Buck show.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's
I gave you props though. Like it's super helpful for us. I'm sure Mike does the same thing. On Monday, I watch your show just to kind of catch back up after the weekend of, a lot of times you unplug, you go to the lake, you go play a golf tournament or whatever, and you kind of miss everything that went on.
Well, that's your life, JT. The rest of us, might have other we got stuff to do
all the time.
We're not on the perma vacation that JT has on the weekends here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need that life. But so if it's an event that ends like Saturday night, if I do want to get a jump start on the week, I'll do the show Sunday. It's not always live, guys. But you know how it works.
Yeah, don't break that cover.
I know, right? So I might do the show on Sunday sometimes, and then that way Blake and I can, produce it behind the scenes and get it ready to go on Monday.
Even if the show isn't live, though, people are still interacting when it airs live. The people in the comments and whatnot. So I don't think that's that big of a deal, and most people are there for that information anyway.
Yeah, the content is so fresh too. It's just literally just happened. So it does appear obviously live, and it's still a lot of work. I mean, you go to work right as the event's ending, and it's right up until we're having our conference call every week around that time, and the show's going live.
It's like our races, Kayla.
Yeah. What?
you go to you're still working after the race is over.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's rough sometimes when it's like we're wrapping up Sunday night, like one of our races, or Sunday or Saturday night, and then it's like I'm still kind of working, but it's fine.
Yeah. Now we're getting a lot of good comments here, getting a lot of love in the comments. A lot of viewers of your show every week are joining us today too. So definitely I think it fills a huge void in this industry. I think this show actually started out more of a recap show. We would have clips, we would have, stats, we'd go over everything that happened the previous weekend, but it just, that kind of gets, it's tough to sort of do what we want to do as far as interviews and talking to people and sort of making it more evergreen, I guess you'd say, and cover that stuff. And I just feel like there's no Sports Center type show. There's no information recap what happened this weekend, whether it's main stage NHRA stuff or off the beaten path grudge stuff. I mean, you've got all that in there. So it really fills that a void that I feel like we have in the drag racing industry.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. I do enjoy doing it. Like this past show that I just did, I love that I was able to include NHRA stuff, but I also talked about, it was an Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association points race. It was Door Wars at Maryland International Dragway. So like, I love being able to include other things that are kind of off the beaten path. So want the show to be well-rounded. I don't just want it to be tied to one sanction or series, just like, we always talk about at Drag Illustrated. So it's been enjoyable. And working in news or journalism or media, whatever you want to call it, it's a 24/7 news cycle. So I've kind of just gotten used to we're never off, right?
And you've got experience with that too. I think a lot of people probably don't realize that you've got experience doing that kind of thing, doing local news broadcasts or segments for local networks and things like that. So how has it been bringing some of that experience over to drag racing? Like, it seems like we're kind of raw over here. Like, we don't have much of that, and everyone's kind of learning on the fly. So have you been able to bring a lot of that stuff over, or has it been sort of a new learning curve?
I have been able to bring a lot of that over. My first job was at an NBC affiliate in Amarillo, Texas. And there I was a co-host of a lifestyle show and also a producer. So that producing experience has really helped me with reaction time. Like I said, setting up my show in what's called a rundown, getting those scripts written out, and that's really helped. So, I have brought over a lot of that. And then also knowing how to or when to put in the graphics or the photos on the screen and the video. So I have brought a lot of that experience over.
You did awesome in the interviews.
It's been awesome.
When we did the pro race and you started doing the interviews on the big stage in front of everybody. Yeah. And those went over really well. Yeah.
Oh, you killed those. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Well, coming off this past weekend.
What'd you guys do this last weekend though?
What did we do?
Yeah, this was like,
dude.
I had 80 graduations this weekend.
And that's right.
My daughter, my daughter graduated. My son, 6th grade promotion was Monday night. Wow. Might have partied with the high school kids there.
I hope you did party with that one that was
somebody
on the phone
left a stripper pole in my basement.
Don't party with that kid that was on the phone with you when we were at World Series.
Man, that
didn't sound like it was going to go over very well on that one.
He's apologized.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it squared away. No, man, it's May-cember is what they call it, with kids graduating. My kids are graduating 4th grade and 1st grade respectively. So big moves here. I can't believe my oldest is, got 1 year left of elementary school and he's into middle school. So JT's got one going off to college. I felt old this weekend, I missed there was a golf tournament that I played in for like 25 years and I missed it for the first time this year, and everybody was back for it and calling and texted, and I had serious FOMO going on. So you can miss one party, JT. You got enough
of for me. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm wired that way, but it's like I got to stay up. The last person's there. I don't know why it is. I hate it.
We all know, anybody that's hung out with you at the races, we all know that everybody's drawing straws. Who's going to be the last one staying up with JT?
Yeah.
Good
or should I spill the beans? Finding him in the motorhome the next morning.
That's right.
Oh, JT. Yeah. Tell us.
That was actually.
That
was actually I think that was very, very adult of me.
I think that was very
responsible.
Yeah, and then you were able to get an early start on work the next day at the track.
Except I had to run back and take a shower and get changed. But that was Scott Palmer's fault actually. So,
well, anytime we see you head down to Scott Palmer's pit, it's like, where's Palmer's pit? Oh, it's that one with the lights on. About 800 people gathered at the back of it, and just loud music, just bumping all night. And then the moonshine is usually flowing. And you can find JT there.
Yeah, that was Wild Turkey Thursday, Evil Knievel Thursday.
That was after
it seems like it seems like that you end up taking other people's shots for them when they don't want to take it. I don't know how that works, but and then you taste that shit till Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those days. I don't do that anymore.
Let's talk a little bit about this weekend before we bring on our guests and kind of dive into what we're looking forward to a couple weekends from now. What was your takeaway from Chicago, Kayla? Just like overall, I know you weren't there, but you've always got your finger on the pulse of the event. This is, I guess, probably the 2nd or 3rd year they've been back there after a long hiatus away from that facility.
Second year,
it's such
maybe.
Yeah, it's such a massive facility. I think it was a successful event, and they had it was well attended. It looked like other than the Dust Bowl on Friday. And maybe just working that track in on Friday, since it gets such little use. I think it actually came around a lot on Saturday and Sunday. What was your takeaway from that event, or what are you hearing from kind of the inside the ropes, so to speak?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it was a great event. Like you said, that it looks like it was well attended on some of the days, but like you said, it's such a massive facility. It's kind of hard to maybe fill it up. But I think it is their third year, and I think they're building that fan base back again in Chicago. I thought it was great racing. I mean, we had Tony Stewart win again against Justin Ashley, who finally made a final. I don't remember the last time he made a final, but he finally broke through to a final. And I did look up that Tony Stewart had been to, I think it was 3 finals and won the last 2 races, because he won the 4 wide in Las Vegas. Then he made it to the finals in Charlotte, and then he won this race, in Chicago. So I really think Tony Stewart is somebody to keep an eye on, and he does have the points lead in Top Fuel. Funny car, all John Force Racing final. Jack Beckman beat Austin Prock on a hole shot, which is kind of weird to say because you think it would be the other way around. But I mean, Fast Jack is doing such an awesome job driving that peak car since John Force isn't able to get back in. And then how about Matt Smith and Gage Herrera once again playing those games on the starting line? I don't know if you guys saw the video, but it's like Gage goes in and like fully stages, and then he like rolls his bike back out, and then Matt stages all the way, and then Gage goes in, and then it's, Gage another win. So
I saw that, and I was like, oh, here we go. And it was interesting.
This shit's good for drag racing, though.
It is.
It is. I mean, I love it.
And they're both leaning into it. Even Gage, I feel like just talking to him in person, and anytime you see him on screen or interviews at the top end, he's kind of buying into it more and being more outspoken. But I thought it was hilarious. Andrew Hines, they asked him about that on the starting line right after it happened. He said, yeah, that wasn't intentional. The wind blew Gage back once he staged.
Wow.
So,
whatever.
That's hilarious.
Which would have been
the Windy City, I guess so,
yeah,
right?
Hey, with all that, the dust storm and everything going on, he could definitely probably sell that this past weekend. But that was pretty interesting to see. And you expect to see some heated stuff going on at the top end after that. But I saw Matt Smith kind of just standing off to the side while Gage got interviewed, and then he shook his hand afterward. They looked at the time slip together. So I think at this point that they both definitely have accepted, like, they are each other's arch nemesis at this point, and there's no sense in getting up in arms about it. I know Matt probably knows that he's done that same thing or something similar just as many times as Gage has. So they're kind of just like accepting the fate at this point. And so I thought that was interesting to see. But yeah, going back to Tony Stewart, I think he's actually been in 4 final rounds in a row, and then he's won 2 out of those 4, I think is the actual number. I think I heard him say that on the broadcast. But Tony is just, I feel like, almost out of nowhere. I mean, no one ever doubted that this would eventually be the case with the resources and Tony's drive and just the ability that he has, that we'd eventually see him having this kind of success. But I do just feel like they just flicked a switch, and all of a sudden he's leading the points. He's a threat every weekend.
Did you guys see the interview, I guess, where he kind of dove into the whole
I was going to ask you
keyboard warriors and these, and I fell down that rabbit hole reading the comments, and a bunch of son of a bitches that haven't done nothing their whole life, living in their basement, and
he went off.
And I wanted to bring this up with Duck as well. I should have probably pulled the video, because I mean, Duck's online all the time. He's got all kinds of people hating on him too, but he embraces it and calls them back out, so his perspective on this would be good too. But man, he just laid it on the line, didn't he? I mean,
I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I don't expect
I was too to even give anybody credit for that, or like that.
Well, he admitted that through the whole process with Leah jumping out of the car and then having the baby, and when you have your first child like that, you do find yourself at home. There's a lot of quiet times where you're just kind of sitting there between naps or whatever. And he said he caught himself just scrolling social media and kind of buying into it a little bit too much, which I felt like it was a super interesting thing to hear someone like Tony Stewart
fueled some of his fire too.
100%. 100%.
You hate to give any of those people any credit, though. I always hate that. There was another guy that was bitching about his NHRA credentials not getting turned down today online, bitching about it. But he's not media. He's not a professional. and I'm not even going to say his name because he doesn't deserve it, but it's just people like that give, I don't know, just pisses me
It was
off.
interesting how that happened, the coincidence of that happening like right on the heels of this Tony Stewart deal. And so everybody that was responding to him is just like, see Tony Stewart's interview this past Sunday, because it kind of goes to the same thing. And we know a ton of racers that have kind of battled that same deal. I mean, I feel like a lot of these people obviously don't have the track record that Tony Stewart has. And a lot of times you want to say, oh, ignore that, or that shouldn't affect you or whatever. But if it can affect Tony Stewart, then it can affect anybody. And I just think it's a matter of how you take it. You either let it drag you down or let it affect you and get in your head, or you do like Tony does and turn around and let it fuel you. And if there was ever any worry or concern about Tony's commitment to drag racing and how serious he is about this, I think he's put all that to rest over the course, obviously since day one, really, but over the course of what he's done this year, and how you can just see the excitement and just the joy and how much fun he's having and how committed he is to this whole deal. And to see Leah sort of standing up there cheering him on. She knows exactly what it takes to do what he's doing. It's just been a really cool storyline to start the year.
Right. And he kind of talked about NASCAR too. I don't know if you guys caught that, where he was like, I know NHRA is not trying to be like NASCAR, but they're really wanting that drama of like people arguing or having rivals. But he called, the NHRA a great place for competitors. It's a family-friendly atmosphere. It's a fan-friendly atmosphere. And yeah, he also said that in his post-race press conference.
Well, I think that's a little bit of validation too. I mean, there's been a long time where I feel like everyone has said it's sort of like the natural assumption. NHRA needs to be more like NASCAR. Anything NASCAR's doing, NHRA needs to look at it and copy it and do it. And I would say that NHRA to a degree, but a lot of the rest of drag racing, talking about like what we do, pro mod stuff, the radial stuff, grudge, no time, all the other stuff, all the other aspects of the sport that are flourishing are doing that kind of zigging whenever mainstream motorsports are zagging and doing kind of the opposite. And so I really think that drag racing has kind of found its footing, not doing some of the stuff that NASCAR's done, trying to learn from some of the things that I think have hurt NASCAR over the last decade or so. And I think that probably there's nobody that could speak on that better than Tony Stewart, who has really kind of divested himself of almost all of his NASCAR interest up to this point and transition to these other things. So it's been really interesting to watch that happen as well.
He's always had a lot of rivals, even coming from NASCAR. He's never he just lays it out there, like it or not. I guess as a kid, I probably wasn't that big of a fan of him. Now I am, get to know him, but he puts it out there, and whether you like it or not, he's going to deal with it. And anybody that's going to call him out on shit like that is probably going to get, well, that just builds a fire under him. I mean, this guy, that's what he does, And then
you got to be pretty all Tony Stewart out about.
I mean, that's pretty stupid, right? That's pretty dumb. But
pretty dumb. And we tried to get Tony.
Didn't he get a Netflix series too?
I don't know. I've heard
this week too.
I see a lot of this like clickbait bullshit. I think that's like AI generated like cover art, and I almost think that some of that stuff is some of that, like some scuttlebutt gets going
several times. I don't know. We're gonna have him on the show today as well.
We were,
but he's on vacation. So
Tony. We missed Tony. We were going to have him on after his 4-wide win, after his first win, but the timing just didn't work out. So we started this week saying we got to get Tony on after the second win, but he's going on vacation until, and it was his birthday. Happy birthday, Tony. I think Monday or Tuesday. And I guess he's got a lot of involvement in the Indy 500. I think he's going to be on the broadcast or something. What are you saying, JT?
Yeah, with Fox.
So he's taking a vacation until then. So we'll get Tony on here eventually. If he keeps winning,
we're on vacation too, Mike. Yeah.
Hell yeah. This is our vacation.
Yeah.
It's a work. It's a workcation. But yeah, we'll if Tony keeps winning the way he does, we'll have plenty of opportunities to get him on. But let's we got Donald Long. He's all queued up. Doesn't look like he's got any technical issues. JT, why don't you give us a script read and we'll bring Donald on.
Oh, already, huh?
Yeah, let's go. Dive into it.
Well, fans, or hey, gang, I guess I should say, when I get lubed up, which I do quite a bit, I choose red line oil. So if you want to get lubed up, use Redline Owl. I don't have any script reads, so I'm just kind of winging it here, guys.
I don't know if we have to run that by
Wow.
Mark Beatty. I don't know if we're going to be able to send an
Now I have to
invoice
drink this beer.
for that one. We're going to need this. We're going to
You
need
weren't
to
joking.
get that approved by Mark. But knowing Mark, he'll be cool. He'll let us invoice for that one. But without further ado, for the second time in 3 weeks, we've got the man, the myth, the legend in his mind, at least, Donald Long. What's up,
What's
Doug?
up?
Hey, Donald.
I'm gonna try not to duck this one up like I did a couple weeks ago, guys, girls.
Yeah, you really.
Hey, I'm proud of you. Donald went out and got a new computer.
Yeah.
He called yesterday, wanted the show link, came on, got everything set up. I mean, he's like, man, I ain't gonna screw this one up this time.
I gotta give him credit, man. You gotta give him credit for really.
I told him now that he has a new setup that he should probably bring back some of those old videos he used to do on YouTube.
Man, y'all get me in trouble with all that stuff now.
See,
Those were great, though.
he becomes a pro mod promoter, and then now he gets his shit together, technically and everything. Man, I'm really proud of you, Doc.
Well, you know, when you step up like that, I got to be able to keep up with you guys. So I got this $250 laptop now, so I'm all set. So
Hell
man,
yeah.
splurging.
It looks
After
good,
all
though.
those,
Yeah, you got a good
all
camera.
those events and all that money from all these events, all these years, and you finally stepped up to the $250 laptop.
I put everything into this one laptop. So,
Man, promoting
Big
a tough
investment.
game. I'm glad you made at least $250 profit at some point.
but no, I appreciate you guys bringing me back on, and girls. See there, I didn't forget the girls over there on the side. No, I felt bad. My phone overheated. I still got that iPhone 3 or whatever it is, and it just couldn't take the pressure. There was Pro Mod fire coming out, and the thing started smoking and melting and shit. I couldn't handle it. So
it's those
but no,
big floppy tires, man.
I guess
They'll get
so.
you.
No, I appreciate you guys bringing me back on. I really do. I felt bad. I was like, I actually had pulled over off the side of the interstate, got me a position there and everything, and I still couldn't pull it off. So,
Well,
That's okay.
Well,
It happens to the best of us.
yeah, it pissed Wes off so much that he decided not even to do the show today,
Yeah,
man. I mean, what do you think about
He quit after that, Donald.
what do you think about being on the first ever Wes Buck show sans Wes Buck?
I'm thinking we're fixing to take this bitch over. This stay on vacation.
That's it right here. You know what's ironic? The Wes Buck show was kind of born out of some of those selfie videos that he did primarily at your events early on. What did you think
It started at his event.
Yeah,
what did you
that
think
was
the first time that
you know, like
hair
I
gel,
love like
slick dude rolls up and starts sticking a phone in your face and asking you for an interview.
So listen, I love all the the Drag Illustrated, I lost you guys. Where y'all at?
No, we just went solo on you.
Okay. So anyway, listen, I love all the professional Drag Illustrated, and I love the professional flow racing. I do miss, the Wes Buck with the selfie stick. I miss the Ellen, with the same deal with her on the starting line. Like, I miss a lot of those things also. So I love the professionalism that everybody's bringing to everything, but I also miss a lot of the other things that we had back then too. So I love and miss a lot of that stuff, I guess. I mean, you really think about it, right? I mean, me and Wes out on the starting line talking trash and stuff. That was a lot of fun, though. You know what I mean?
It was.
Ellen sitting there and being, with all the, sitting there engaging with all the fans and all that. That was a lot of fun also. So there's a lot of that I do miss, and I hope that, we don't totally forget about that stuff, and that even if it's even in testing or qualifying or something, we could get some of that other stuff back at some point too.
Well, that was kind of the edge to it. You know what I mean? I feel like that when it was up and coming and it had an edge to it, and there is that balance as you grow and you become more mainstream. You got sponsors, you're on flow, you've got kind of a wider audience where the natural tendency is to tone that back a little bit. But you've always kind of towed that line, but then when you get close to an event, we see you step it up and really push the envelope again.
Those videos, those videos showed a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And I think that's what a lot of fans really liked about them was it got, because there was a lot of trash talking, back in the pits and whatnot. And people got to experience that and be a part of the conversation, I guess you'd say, online. So
yeah, and so if you have, like, even if we get all this behind the scenes stuff with Flow, I still think people are they still pull back, right? In my opinion, they don't let the F-bombs fly. They don't let. I'm not saying what's good and bad, I think that under certain times, a couple F-bombs flying around ain't such a bad thing, but I get it on both sides of the whole thing. So, I don't know, we'll see how it all plays out down the road. But I like to see some of the real stuff going on. And I'd like to bring, like, there are some things going on that, like, everybody's race, nobody's race is perfect, right? My race isn't perfect. Wes is y'all's guy. Like, there's always something, right? And, like, there's plenty of things I could bring up from a race or two ago of my own that people don't agree with me on, or things that have happened. But I would love to go over there with the Flow camera and talk about it, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a horrible thing. We can still talk about it, right? I mean, that should be the way the world is, right? I know we can't get the Democrats and Republicans together to do that nowadays, but we should be able to go to the pits and as two men or women or whatever, and you know what I'm saying, and talk about it,
Well, I think that I like Flow's embracing that. I mean, I would not be surprised to see more in-pit interviews, or Courtney coming up to you, sticking the mic in your face and getting your opinion on a hot topic that's going on. But it is sort of like we talk about, bridging that gap between being PC and reaching the mainstream, but maintaining that edge. So as you go into next weekend's Shakedown, how are you approaching that from a promoter standpoint, sort of this partnership deal and this evolution that you've got going on?
So first, I would love to thank David Hance for allowing us to continue this Shakedown deal. I was upset. Me and David Hance were butt heads on the internet, but I always loved what he did, and I really kind of felt, and I don't know the whole situation, I felt like he got screwed in Englishtown at the end, and y'all probably know way more about that than I do. I really wish that he would have kept going with it. I wish that could have, but I'm looking for a home for Shakedown, right? I hope 131 is that home, that fit. It's left, obviously, Englishtown, and it's been, a couple places, between, I guess it was in Norwalk, Virginia. And I hope that 131 is the home for Shakedown. I want to make sure that it's like, if I quit tomorrow, I wish somebody would take lights out and keep rolling with it. And I hope that we could at least make David Hance proud. And maybe in the next couple of years, even make it, something, back close to what it was.
Yeah. That'd be big shoes to fill, man. You're talking about someone else taking over lights out and running with it. Like, that would just seem so foreign. So hopefully we're not in that position.
I don't know if it worked. I don't think it would work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it has to be the right people, right?
Yeah.
I hope that I can be that right person for Dave, and help it along, be part of that team. But I would love if someone took over lights out for it to be somebody who really cared emotionally. I know Wes cares, like pro mod stuff. I love the radial guys. I want everybody to come together, though. Like, everybody that's coming to the race, we're trying to bring in, like, so me and Dillard, Pro Light, we're trying to bring in everybody. Like, we don't want pro mod guys to come in there and not feel like they didn't get 100% the same shake as RBW or Outlaw 10-5 or anybody, right? All bullshit aside, talking trash and all that. I would want, just like you guys, I know y'all would want to do the right thing. And so we're bringing in, Jimmy Bradshaw, from, the Sticky Mafia deal. We're bringing in TVC, Ralph and them. We got Samuel Peterson there, that's at that track day in and day out. And so we want it to be a great event for everybody, obviously. And so I guess that going into it is what I would just want everybody to come out and have a good time with it, but know that everybody will be treated 1 million times fair. And we're trying to bring in enough track support. Mickey Thompson sent all kinds of rotator tires, and VP sent glue. And so I think that we're trying to do the absolute best we can. And I would love to get with Kayla and Flo. And I hope they, I've been wanting to do things for a long time, and everybody, obviously I don't own Flow or anything. I think what they're doing is great. I would love to help get involved in that behind the scenes stuff, you know, and bring up things that, I mean, some of them might be a little controversial, right? Like you guys, you know, would talk to people on here that
I'll add you to our next conference call with them.
Yeah. I mean, we do that stuff with them and kind of meet.
Yeah.
We kind of get meetings going where we sort of lead in. We have the advantage of doing those 3 races back to back to back, and we sort of follow storylines from one to the next, and it's like tip them off on things that we're watching. But yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we talked a lot last time you were on here about Flow not only stepping up their production game, but just tuning in more to what's going on with these different storylines and bringing that to their audience. So I'm sure you're going to see more of that out of your events and as time goes on. But
I know, like when they would cover sprint cars and different, I know they got build-ups to, I don't think they actually maybe do the main thing, but I know the Chili Bowl, maybe like a build-up to it or so. I don't know. I know
they do a road to Eldora, I think is what they called it.
Yep.
And they do a ton of stuff in the dirt thing. And we've floated the idea of doing something similar with our races, but it really just comes down to resources, planning, time,
a lot of people,
and getting all these people together in one place, so that you're not flying across the country to one shop or to another shop. And really
it's
like
very tough, time consuming, money. It can be done, but it's a lot of taken out of people. Like it's a commitment. Like that's a serious commitment, you know, it takes a lot of money, right, to make something like that really
100%.
happen.
Yep.
So I hope that drag racing, whether it's, you know, pro mod, radial, whatever it is, I hope that, you know, we have that, you know. I mean, I'd love a build up to when me and Mike Levy talked about that, you know. I'd love to have a build up like that going into Lights Out or whatever that anybody's doing, right? But it is it's a commitment, man. That's a serious commitment.
I think they're all ears right now. And we got a comment in here asking when the race is. It's next weekend, right? May 29th, 30th at US 131 Motorsports Park. Shakedown.
Are they asking about race for the record, or are they talking about Shakedown?
Oh, I thought he meant for the record.
Yeah.
Tell us when the race was.
Yeah,
but
for the record or the race for the record.
Ray,
okay.
Stay tuned, buddy. I promise you, before I die, it's coming.
The race for the record. Yeah, that was a huge deal that you were drumming up a while back.
Yeah, that's it hasn't died. It hasn't died. So unfortunately we ran into a serious problem with the hurricanes here in September and October. It tore up almost everything that we owned between here from Madeira Beach to Zephyr Hills, and it's been like 8 months of hell, man, to be honest with you. But we're coming back. We're getting stronger here, and we need to get through this year and get to Shakedown, and I hope that everybody does come out. I saw that there's been a lot of things that happen, right? If you look at it, you have, you know, Keith Haney with the Midwest deal, and that track was underwater, and then so he had reached out about coming over to Shakedown. So then, you know, they were coming into Shakedown. Then you had like, it's crazy, right? You have Samuel and Jimmy Bradshaw are going to do the Mayhem race at 131, and a tornado hits and they have to cancel it, right? So then it's like we have this freezing deal coming up, and we got PDRA, and so PDRA is canceling. So it's like this whole, I don't know, combination of things that have kind of maybe pushed people towards Shakedown.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It's just, it seems like there is a lot of stuff that's sort of pushing it toward it, like you said.
Obviously, weather is like the absolute worst for anybody ever, right? You want everybody to have the best, because you want the best for yourself when your races come. So you want to make sure everybody has the best. It's just a weird combination of things that have happened between floods, freezing temperatures, tornadoes. I mean, it's like I've never seen it. I mean, remember at South Georgia, the tornado hit the track there and ripped the VIP into the middle of the track. So like, look at what happened at Bradenton down there. Something happened down there where the thing blew up across the thing over there. Didn't blow power off of into the electrical lines down there and stuff too.
That's happened.
Yeah, we've had a couple different things down there.
Man. That one storm blew the bleachers over onto the track, and somehow after all that tower was still standing.
But you never want to wish anything bad or bad. Like from a promoter, I never understood it until we started promoting these races, that how something like that, like bad weather, even a bad weather forecast can just tank your deal. Like that's, you can promote and do all the work, and you can have all the baddest people on the planet prepping your track and in the pits, ready to race and doing all the promotion you can. And then if you get a bad weather forecast, it's over. And
did y'all know Johnny Finn all that well? And either of y'all or no? Was that
the early Orska days? I mean, that was very early. We were personally, we were knees deep in the ADRL deal at that time. But yeah, I mean, Wes was especially. I actually think that whole deal was a big part of starting Drag Illustrated, covering those type of events.
I think y'all are taller than me or something. I got to adjust my computer. I feel like Keith Haney on here.
That's normal.
Yeah, you did have the Haney angle going. You got to get that. You got to get that height going. There you go.
So to Johnny Finn, just so when I was, I don't know, this was 16 years ago, right? When I was starting to mess with this 16, 17 years ago. And Johnny Finn said something, and I've told this story because it's 100% true. And he said, son, let me tell you something. He said, what you're doing, he goes, and other people promoting, he goes, it's no different than if you walked into Las Vegas and put $100,000 and said, I'm going to put 100,000 on red and said, spend it. Because he said, you have a 50-50 chance on weather. No matter what if you like, it's like what you said, right? It doesn't matter how great of a job you do, right? If you had the baddest racer in the world there, and you wake up and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is 80-90% chance of rain, you're only going to get so many people, right? They're going to be like, why am I going to go spend thousands of dollars when there's a 90% chance of rain or something? And so it's high stakes gambling. And it really is. I mean, it's not for everybody, right? Luckily, you guys have great sponsors. We have great sponsors. But what got a lot of people in trouble back in the day, I won't say on this, but you have people that want to be promoters, right? Piggyback promoters or whatever. Carl used to call me. I forget what he called me. Suitcase promoter, right? And
who called you that?
Yeah, this Carl Weisinger called me a suitcase promoter.
Carl Weisinger.
And
God rest his soul.
God rest him. But anyway, he called me the suitcase. But you have people that were back in the day, you had the one-uppers, right? So everybody wanted to one-up. Now, I'll pay $10,000. I want to pay 20, 30. Well, the problem is they didn't have the money. So they would go and they'd run all these things, we're going to pay this, pay that. And then when something bad happened, they just pick up their suitcase. They're gone, right? No one's got paid. And that's what turned drag racing. And you don't hear about that as much now because the internet, you jump on somebody, right? If someone screws you out of 50 grand, you're going to know about it.
Yeah. But you can't get away with that anymore.
There was sure. I wouldn't bring up any names, but there was some bad Outlaw 10-5 stuff that happened. There was some $50,000 supposedly guaranteed stuff going on, and then the guy forgot his checkbook, we addressed all that, many times behind the scenes too. So there's been a lot of things that have happened, over the years. I mean, hell, there was people who didn't pay what they were supposed to. People that was Middle Eastern countries didn't pay. It doesn't matter. It could be here. It could be anywhere, right? Bad things happen sometimes.
Or purse is not guaranteed based on car count.
Right,
you saw a lot of that stuff.
You got to have 875,000 cars on the property, or you don't get paid.
It's in the fine print.
But I think we're past all that, now. If the people before that would put up or say they were going to put up the money and they didn't have it. Luckily, knock on wood, there's a lot of great sponsors out there, and that's the reason we can keep on doing what we can do, right? I just want to make sure that I don't want to feel like the whole deal with David Hans. I just want to make sure that, he's getting credit for the whole Shakedown deal because it was like his thing and we've picked it up and we're running with it. And I want to make it great again, but I don't want everybody to forget, that David Hans, started Shakedown. And this would be, if he was able to keep going, this would have been 22 years of Shakedown. That's a long time. You really think that's even, he started at least 6 years or so before I even started promoting. So
yeah, it was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. I mean, we actually ran a year or two of it up in Englishtown, and just the combination of cars at that event and the way you ran it was sort of ahead of the curve. And I think we've seen some of the fingerprints of that on a lot of these events, these independent events that we see throughout the industry now. Your events, I know our events for sure, and it is good to see. We had we had Jason Peterson on a couple of weeks ago and just talking about, like we just said, doing all the work you can promotion wise, getting all the racers there, car count, prep, got to get the weather, but there is a lot of momentum building just as far as the scheduling and these events running into issues that are going to push cars toward US 131. And it's honestly the first thing I thought about with PDRA Norwalk, unfortunately being canceled this week. And it's borne itself out that way. I've gotten texts basically nonstop since that news was announced yesterday, talking about guys going to 131 to run pro mod. So I think you're going to get a ton of guys that were going to be forced to make that decision, whether they're chasing the PDRA championship, whether they were also going to turn around and run back to back and run with you guys, or you have to make that choice. And now you're going to get a ton of these PDRA cars that are literally loaded and in trailers and are ready to roll out, and they're just going to head to 131 instead of Norwalk next weekend.
And you guys are 100% right, because it's, as a racer, you know how it is. If your car's loaded up, right, your shit's loaded up, you already know you're going to spend that money, and so
we're going somewhere.
Right,
it's got an expiration date. That thing can't sit in that damn trailer too long. We got to go somewhere and load this son of a bitch right now.
They got coolers, they got fuel, and they're like, hey, I got
the food's bought. Yep.
I went and got turkey and ham, and I can't let that expire. Like, we got to go racing.
One thing I will say that it has done, and I'm gonna be honest with you, me and Eric really try to sit down and look at scheduling, and I don't know how it happened really, but we still screwed this up, to be honest with you, right? I had no idea that Mr. Peterson's son, I didn't know Samuel and Jimmy had the Mayhem race 2 weeks ahead of time. I would have never scheduled Shakedown 2 weeks after the same type of event, right? I just would have never done that. So I wasn't aware of that. I didn't realize that PDRA was the week before. So there's all these things to where obviously it's
tough. It's real tough. I mean,
it's very tough.
There are many holes on that calendar. If you're a door promoter, there are not many holes on that calendar.
But things have happened. I hope that everybody will at least, if they come out and race and have a good time at Shakedown, then we can look at that calendar next year, right? And work with Samuel, Jimmy Bradshaw. We can work with PDRA, right? And make it to where people still can come out and race at both locations, right? And have a good time with it, because it was never intentional. I've gotten in trouble the last 2 years with conflict with no time dates. I moved off of one no time race to appease those guys at Steele, Alabama, just to find out that I put my race and me and Eric Steele on Big Jake's race. Obviously we would never do that, because we don't want people in Texas to have to be like, they're going to be, oh man, I got a huge race right here. Who wants to drive 1,600 miles, right? It'd be like me if I know there's a huge race right here. So we have to do a little better job on the schedule conflicts, the best that we can possibly do, and work around those cars. Obviously, I think that with Shakedown, I love having, the Pro Mod and the Outlaw 10.5, the whole Dave Hance, real deal, and Haney bringing, Midwest and all that. So we have to kind of work a little bit better on our end and make sure that we're not conflicting with PDRA, because we got
to start a group. We got to start like a Facebook group or Slack group or something with all the different promoters. Where you can just throw it in there. I mean, I know that there's not very many slots.
I think Ellen Eschenbacher actually tried.
Did she try that one time, maybe?
Yeah, a long time ago, and I think they maybe had it on their site, or she did it on her Facebook, where she tried to like aggregate all the non-NHRA races together.
And I meant just a discussion. I don't know what happened. Like where you could put in. I'm looking at this date. Is there anything else that that's close? It
would have saved us for sure on the Big Jake deal, because I wanted to have even more no time stuff. Well, as soon as I found this out, after I had moved the other one, because it was a month different, we move off of it, and then we even make it worse on ourselves, right? We go to a bigger no time race that we're on top of than we was the year before. And we're trying to stay off of then, and obviously no hard feelings with NHRA, but it's like we go and we do a race. Well, then all of a sudden in the middle of the thing, they go, oh, we're going to add pro mods to the 4 wide deal, right? Or whatever. So like we'll make something to where there wouldn't be any conflicts. Then it becomes a conflict anyway. So, and Eric Gillard has this calendar, kind of like what y'all are saying, right? So it has all these things on it, but you can't have everything, right? And so we missed it on the no time deal. And so it's just one of them things where we have to do a better job. Maybe of all of us, like, what you guys are saying, JT.
Well, it's hard to do, man. It's hard to do. And we get like the number one question I get almost daily. And I know Wes probably gets it 10 times a day. When are you going to do more races? You need to do more than the 3 Winter Series races. And I know it's been a question for you for many, many years. When are you going to do more than the 2 races? And now you have kind of dipped your toes into that and expanded in partnership to do this series throughout the year. But I'm kind of with you where when you're in February and you're in October and we're in December, January, and March or late February and kind of off the calendar for the rest of the year when these series really kick in through the spring, summer, and fall. And when you start dipping your toes in trying to schedule these door car races throughout the year, it really causes a lot of issues. And there are so many places to race a pro mod style car now. And then now you've got NHRA coming in, and now they've just kind of thrown this 5 race schedule on the calendar as well. And now they've got an outlaw race that they're with a big payout. And it's just kind of like, you almost wonder, are they looking at the calendar as well to see what this is going to conflict with or what is going to cause problems for their racers? Or is everyone just selfish and with blinders on and just says, I don't care what else is going on, I'm throwing my race on this date?
I think that there are some people that have come into it, and I don't want to get in trouble for this, but I think do it.
Yeah.
I think that they should have a little bit more respect for what you guys are doing and what we're doing. I think that they'll learn that it's going to be worse on them what they're trying, what people are trying to do, or they don't care about an established event or something like that. So I haven't seen some schedule. Is the NHRA thing really happening? Or that's a whole other subject, I'm sure. But
we could go a long time down the rabbit hole on that.
And a bunch of stuff like that. And then the next thing they didn't, and this track was for sale, and then it wasn't. I don't even know really what the hell.
I don't think most anyone really knows day to day. They have, to their credit, they have purchased a few tracks. They have put out a schedule. They put out a purse. They're doing an event very similar to a big outlaw pro mod race like what we put on. So, but that's all we know. That's all we know to this point. We don't really have any more details. I mean, certainly not trying to write anybody off before the story is written or anything, but it is just another thing that kind of adds to somewhat of the issue that we're talking about, where you have these big events that everyone looks to, like yours in drag radial or like ours in pro mod and several others. And everyone just decides, hey, well, okay, we're just going to write a check for 150 grand and we're just going to plop an event on this date. But there's so much more to it than that, you've got to stop and sort of take into account all those things. And from our standpoint, and Wes will tell anybody that'll listen, we take that very seriously. We don't want everyone's like, you should do 10 Winter Series events or whatever. Not only would that take away from the 3 that we have, but it would really wreck a lot of these pre-existing series and schedules that are out there. And the same thing for you with what you're doing. So I guess what I'm saying is an experienced promoter, someone that's done this a long time, knows that and is very aware of that going in. And I'm sure you've had to, like you just described in detail, work around and even you're saying try to do better next year on your scheduling so that these guys don't have to make those tough choices.
No, and listen, I think some people are trying to come in and they have a little bit of money, and I haven't seen everybody. I've just seen different things going on and throwing around. Sometimes, I'm sorry, guys.
What you got over there?
You're fine.
What the hell's going on at the Donald Long house?
He got his studio all set up.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's dogs, baby.
Did you just hit your dog, or what's going on over there?
No, I just knocked the glass out of the sliding glass door so they could go outside. So
okay, that's what that loud smack was. All right.
Yeah, no. We don't endanger. No animal was hurt in the demolition of this door. I just, I I don't know. I've seen, I've had people say they've came to us behind the scenes, oh, well, come and do this race at our track. We're putting up this money. And if you don't come do it, we're going to do it ourselves. Well, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do it yourself.
Yeah. Be my guest.
If you put up 50 or 100,000 or 200,000, that don't mean shit. I mean, that don't mean anything. It really doesn't. That's not going to, putting up $100,000 or $200,000 don't mean you have World Series of Pro Mod, right? It just means you got some money and you threw some shit at it. And honestly,
I mean, and the truth is, it took, most people don't realize the World Series of Pro Mod started in Denver. They'd really only see the last handful of years in Bradenton, and it took the building in Denver and sort of the ups and downs and what we learned before we got to that point. And the same thing for you. Like, I think everybody would say, like, the Lights Out 7, right? Like, might be the most memorable one, or the one where you would say
that was a fun one.
That has arrived as the biggest event in door slammer drag racing, but it took 7 of them to get to that point. So you don't just roll off the fucking trailer and it's on kill from Q1, so to speak.
If you ask Wes, we sat there in Colorado, and me and him sat there and talked about it, and we sat on either a start line or over the side, and we said if this race was down south, it would be extraordinary, right? But getting everybody and there's guys know what they're doing up there. It's awesome, but
yeah, it is. But it's just getting everybody there.
You can't. There's no way, right, that it could be. You can't have World Series of Pro Mod up there, right? It just wasn't going to ever.
And I think that back it up. That's a cool thing too. I don't think a lot of people know about that. You came to our first couple of World Series of Pro Mods in Denver for no other reason than just to support Wes and support what we were doing. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it goes on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, when
Buck's actually a good guy, everybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't want anybody to know that.
Me, Roger Conley, Tom Kundrick, Joe Oblowski, we all came up there. But when I was talking to Wes, he knew it at the time too, but he obviously, he felt obligated to those guys, and I'm sure there were a bunch of great guys. And, but it could never be what it is up there. It just wasn't going to work. Right. So, it had its time there. And as soon as it came south, I knew it was going to be great at that point. That's just the way it was going to be. But you can't, it's like if I moved, I don't know if you move certain races, like you have to have like Wes and y'all do a great job, right? But you still have to have that location, right? You still, to make it great, whether you have livestock or you have Woodstock or whatever you have, right? There's going to be certain ones that just stand out. It's going to be location, the people that come or whatever that you have.
The fans getting a routine too of the things that they do while they're there. Like, last year we went down and saw this, and you know what I mean. It becomes
when you couldn't, and it allowed us to do the winter deal and do an off-season deal. Yes. You can't go to Denver in December, but you can go to Bradenton, Florida, and you can go to Valdosta, Georgia in February, and so you got to keep that in mind too.
Right, and the races that start, let's face it, really, right? It's timing, it's location, and it's also a great job that everybody that does, right? You got to have that also, but you have to have the time of the year. People want to go fast. They don't want to be out there with sweat rolling off of them, right? They want to be able to have a good time. So you got to have the conditions with the air. You got to have, a great track, a great location. And it's just one of them things. Everything has to come together to make that happen. I don't know. It's like when I raced in the beginning, you got a couple hundred people in the stands. Valdosta's in the middle of nowhere, right? It's not like sitting over by Disney World, right? Where everybody can go out and do a whole bunch of other cool things, and then come over. So, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, like for the February race. It's like my home there. I mean, could I go somewhere else and get more people? I believe I could crush it somewhere else that had a built-in spectator crowd of 2 or 3 or 4,000, 5,000 people, right? But that's not the way Valdosta is. Those people come from out of state. They don't come from they're not in Valdosta, Georgia, right? Or Adel.
Well, I'll tell you, I never heard of Valdosta, Georgia before your events, and I think a lot of people, in a lot of ways, it's put Valdosta on the map and sort of built the lore around that track. So I agree. It'd be hard for us to think about moving any of our races away from Bradenton now. It sort of seems linked forever, and same for your deal in Valdosta for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
I just think new people coming in ought to, definitely, instead of just trying to throw money at, I think that some people will learn one day that just because you have money doesn't mean you're a promoter, right? That's just not the way things work. And I've seen some of these ones where people, I'm going to throw this much at it, I'm going to throw that much at it. I mean, you might get your 16 or 18 pro mods there, right? Or radial cars or whatever it is that you're doing. But at the end of the day, it's like you guys don't even really mention who wins, right? I don't even know who wins. It doesn't.
There's a lot
matter.
more to it. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. I've gotten asked more recently especially about the NHRA deal. The number one question is about the purse and about what do I think about the purse and the numbers. And it's really, I don't get anyone asking me, what do you think about that track? What do you think about this, that? Is it sustainable?
Safety personnel, who they have running it, who's promoting it. I mean, really, there's a lot of things that's in the air.
But yeah, what I'm saying is that guys, what guys are just asking, all they see is that number. And then the only reason in my mind that they're even considering it is that number. So they're not thinking about all the other things that go into it. So that's been a lot of my feedback when people ask me about that stuff. And it's certainly, we've seen that play out a lot of times. And on the flip side, it's funny, we raised the purse, doubled the purse for World Series of Pro Mod for our winter series this year. But we didn't get a ton of questions about that. It's almost like everyone's coming to race our events for a lot of numerous other reasons.
It wouldn't
money
matter.
Is the icing on the top.
There's one World Series of Pro Mod, right? That's just the way shit is. There's one Daytona 500. There's one Indy 500. There's one Lights Out. They can do whatever they want to do, but it ain't going to be no World Series of Pro Mod. It ain't going to be no freaking Lights Out. I don't give a shit how much money someone just throws at something, So those are just the facts of the way it is,
No doubt,
and
man.
The amount of behind the scenes things that goes on to it. And I don't know, I've seen different organizations. I don't even follow that one, to be honest with you, that they whatever they got going on. But I see people come out, oh, we're going to pay this. No, we're not. Hey, we're going to go to this track. No, we're not. You know what I mean? So it's like you start losing that credibility along the way, on some different organizations, and I'm not mentioning one or the other. I see it, and then it's gone. And then I see stuff where no one even addresses it, right? The race is gone, and it's like, where'd it go? It's like, I don't know, man.
It's a different standard too. I know that if we left our event and we didn't blow it up and no one knew who won or your events or who set the record, or God forbid, if the payout wasn't met, we would never hear the end of it, right? Our feet are going to get melted at the fire. But a lot of these other deals just kind of skate on by too. There's kind of a double standard.
If it is 100%, if it was old school Duck and Linko shit, I can tell you right now, they wouldn't get away with none of this shit, because I'd freaking hold them in the fire.
All right, bring it back, man. You got your computer. Let's bring it back.
It's like I left, I think it was, so it was Lights Out, I guess. And, I was getting, how it is. It's like if you're at World Series of Pro Mod, or if you're Lights Out, like if you're putting on the event, something great happens, right? You're excited about it. You're like humbled about it. You're like, man, this is just awesome, right? I got in this deal when they were going 340s out there, right? And I started posting shit, doing this, and next thing I'm getting all these threatening things from ex-sponsors or this guy's mad or that guy's mad. And I'm like, it's just amazing that you could get in somebody's feelings that bad, over but the thing about it is, when y'all leave World Series of Pro Mod, who won. He's on the cover of the magazine. You got all this stuff going on. And I don't have a magazine, but when we leave Lights Out, everybody knows who won, right? I mean, that's just the way shit's going to be. If Stevie Jackson's in this, we might be painted on the ground or whatever we're doing, standing on the car, rattling the blowers or whatever, but we're having a good time. And you can't fake that, right? Like somebody putting in a whole bunch of money and said, I'm going to put on this race, and they do it. And then here's I hate even giving away shit. I hate to even say this, because I'm
here we go.
Trade secrets and shit here, right? I'm gonna go ahead and tell them, just because we're gonna have to help them, you guys, because they're dumb and they need some guidance. All right. If you are a true race promoter, a true, I don't know, if you're going to be the savior of the sport, and you're going to do all this shit, right? And when you get to the winner's circle, if I don't see you in the fucking winner's circle with your racers, and I don't see, and I see this as a trophy, and it's like, you've paid this check, right? Great. You gave away $200,000. That's just wonderful. And you're looking around and you're like, well, what are we going to get some winner circle pictures or whatever? And then they're like, oh yeah, hey, Billy Bob, come over here. And then they, take a picture and where's my trophy? Just go to the tower and you'll see all those plaques. Just pick out whatever you
go to the payout window.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not, what have you done? Right. That's not really doing anything. You've bought some people to come over, right? You've paid some money, but you haven't put the, it's like, I see what you guys do in the extra advertisement and in the bike rack covers. And I'm going to tell you this, there's a kid up and coming, and I've been trying to push him on everybody, right? Just because guy from the first time, I think he's the next up and coming great thing. And that's Nate Prater from Brown. Right.
Yeah. No doubt about it, man.
I've tried to sell him to everybody, right? And these people just keep pushing him to the side, right? They should have already grabbed him, right? Everybody should have already said, hey.
Shit.
We even borrow some of the stuff that he does. That event that we went to, that Burnouts for Kids that we judged, he's rolling out that red carpet. He's got the VIP, all the gifts that he's got for everybody. I mean, we borrowed some of that stuff and even used his trophy person for our trophy.
Everybody borrows stuff, right? Like he'll come over, he'll tell me, goes, hey man, I got that from you. So I'll look at his stuff. Hey, what's he got going? Like we're all like, but that's stuff that makes the events better, right? That puts it into the sport, that makes things awesome. The guys who just cut a check for $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever and think they've done something, they ain't done shit. I mean, they really haven't. They haven't done anything to help the sport of drag racing.
Well, it's all about showing that you're invested beyond that. I mean, that's why we're in the winner's circle. You kill it in the winner's circle with all your stuff, the thrones, the big backdrops, all the stuff. I mean, you've been doing that for a long time, man. So
coats,
like, it's long been about more than just the paycheck, but it's or the winner's circle purse.
Right. And we all want to do that, right? You can tell World Series of Pro Mod is the same thing. Nate prayed like Nate. If Nate made 150,000, he spent 200, right? I mean, that's just the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's
the way we do it too.
Yeah, that's
the Wes Buck way.
Yeah. If he made 50, he spent 65 on fireworks, right? So
yeah.
We got to get with you to figure out how to actually make some money off these events, man. Right?
I'm trying to help Nate. Like
maybe it's your better half that we need to talk to. Maybe she's the one that actually makes it profitable and smart. So maybe we'll have to get her on next time.
How to make it profitable for sure.
But let's talk one more time about next weekend Shakedown. Tell us where it is, what's going on, classes, and where people can get tickets.
So obviously we got your famous pro mods rolling in there, and
which will be the show. I mean, it's going to be the damn show.
So we got pro mods. We have top dragster, top sportsman. We have. I'm looking forward to seeing, as much as I used to just love to harass them. Right. I'm looking forward to the Outlaw 10-5 Pro Street deal. Obviously, all the Radial Outlaw Series deal where RBW and Pro 275, LDR, X275, Ultra Street, Limited 235. I'm bringing in No Time 275. I love those guys. I hope they come. Obviously, Kaylee Mills is going to be driving. She's bringing Kong down there. So I'm looking forward to having all the classes. I haven't had one in a while. It's been, oh my God, it's been a long time, right? Since pro mods have been on the same grounds. We have done it before, but we're talking like eons ago, right? So I'm looking forward to everybody being there. And that was a kind of a cool deal with Shakedown. I didn't want to take Shakedown and not have some roots of Shakedown, right? It just doesn't, It wouldn't make sense.
No doubt.
And so, but at US 131, Jason and Samuel, I think it's going to be awesome to work with them. I've really only met them twice now. So it's one of them things where, everybody's, obviously filling each other out. I'm trying not to go too crazy. Stephanie has, his wife has allowed me over on their Facebook page. So I've tried not to do anything to get myself in trouble. I try not to do that too much. But with all the track, coming in with Jimmy Bradshaw and Ralph and Samuel and stuff, we're bringing, I think we're shutting down Proline to try to bring enough people to help over there. So that'll be a cool deal. And we're just looking forward to it, man. I think with all the different classes, it'll be fun,
Good deal, man. Well, awesome, I'm glad we were able to do this, get you on here again. And man, looking forward to your big pro mod race here next weekend at US 131. So we'll have to have you back soon and talk about it and talk about your experience, man.
So if it goes good, it's going to be because of the pro mods.
100%.
Yeah, if it goes bad,
it's those damn radio cars. 100%.
You guys, thank you very much.
Thanks,
is
man.
Kayla still with us or no?
Kayla's still here.
No.
I'm here.
They kicked you off. I'm sorry.
They did. I'll see you next weekend, though. We'll talk next
look
weekend.
forward. Hopefully, we can do some pit interviews. Hopefully, Flo don't kick me off before we can get started.
You'll be just fine. We'll see you next weekend.
She'll cover for you, Donald.
Thank y'all, everybody. Appreciate
all right, Donald Long, the Duck, the one and only Duck.
Thanks, Duck.
Thank you, guys.
Later.
See you.
All
right, JT, you got to hit us with another JT script read.
Uh-oh.
And then on to the next guest. Here we go. Ready? Which one are we going with?
Gonna go Flow here.
Flow, here we go.
Because if you don't have Flow, are you even a drag racing fan? No, seriously. Flow racing is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And if you don't have it, go ahead and subscribe. If nothing else, just to watch Courtney. We know you subscribe to every other website out there. So what's one more?
Oh, man. Oh, there we go.
Mike,
me and JT,
why are you
we're double
today?
You're doing the script read and I'm trying to do the production. I'm trying to help you out a little bit.
Oh, I kind of like it, but
that's another one, man. Yeah, Flow HR. We're gonna have to run that one by them. I'm sure.
I'm HR, so I went ahead and approved that right before the show.
Well, let's go ahead. We've got our next guest. He's been patiently waiting in the green room here. But this man I'd say he's been on a tear since the end of last year, just quietly sneaking up. And then there was no more sneaking up after next weekend. Number one qualifier, quickest of nearly every round of eliminations, and race winner at the is it Congruity Pro Mod series at Route 66 Raceway in Joliet. Mason Wright, welcome to the show, buddy. We got to give a round of applause for this man.
Yeah, good job, man.
What's up, man?
Y'all doing all right?
We
doing good.
Man, you're telling me I'm always quiet. Yeah, it's kind of too hard to deny you guys. I did last year when I won, but
you did. We ended up we had to settle with Justin Elks, who
that's the reason I'm on here now.
Yeah, he has no problem talking and telling us all the details, but we're like, we got to get Mason on here at least one time. So I'm glad you joined us today. Taking a little time away from the oil field business, which I feel like I know a lot about Odessa, Texas, and the whole oil field business just from watching Landman.
Me too.
Which I don't know if you guys have ever watched Landman, but that's actually where Mason lives and literally is his business. But he says that a lot of the Billy Bob Thornton stuff is not true. But how much of that show is accurate?
It's accurate. What you see green wasn't. It's not here. Anything brown, ugly, tank farms. When we plant trees around here, we have to sit by them and feed them, water them, and hope they don't die.
Well, you kind of brought the Dust Bowl, I guess, with you up from Odessa, Texas, up to Joliet last weekend. It looked like with that crazy deal going on Friday. But then on Saturday, you go low 567, I believe, with a 6, number 1 qualifier, and then just march through eliminations. I believe quickest in eliminations every round except for 1. So, we kind of opened talking about how, I mean, you're a soft-spoken guy, quiet guy. You kind of jump in, do your job, and go on to the next one. But what's it been like to kind of creep up on these guys and now I would say become somewhat of a marked man and have the target on your back to where when you roll into the next event at Bristol, that you're a guy that guys are circling on the sheet and saying, we got to watch out for this guy.
It's there's not a single person on that sheet that you can circle and count out. It's insane what the competition is around there, and it's I'm proud to run them guys. We get to fellowship with the guys, whether it's Friday night or Saturday night, and and I enjoy that. Being able to sit underneath the tent and eat with the guys is remarkable.
For those that don't know, for the fans just learning and following along, who is Mason Wright? Who's tuning? Who's making it all happen for the team right now?
What's that now? I'm sorry, it cut out.
For anybody that's just tuning in, who is Mason Wright really? And then who's tuning? Who's the crew behind the scenes that's making everything happen?
Justin Elks, he's the man behind the scene. He stays behind the glass of that that says privacy only. He's got all his computer screens up, and he's the one that's calling all the shots. He calls me on the phone and said, "Hey, I got this great idea. What do you think?" And just open a checkbook, write a check, and he starts printing off time slips. So that's our.
Man, I need more friends like you.
The checkbook starts getting smaller and smaller. So I'm glad we're making some tracks now. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, you guys have been together as a team for several years now and have sort of kept that group together. Justin, Ben, your family, your brother. I know you guys work. It's kind of, you've got more continuity on your team than maybe a lot of these teams have at this point. Are you starting to see some of that pay off? Do you think that that's been some of the success you've had? I mean, you've had the same combination, essentially, same car, where you're really getting into a groove and comfortable when you show up every week. It's something that you guys have been chipping away at for quite a while.
It is. So Vegas last year, we tried to showcase what we're showcasing now. And each race we go to, we find gremlins, and they're always there, whether you inherit them or, they ride in the trailer, that things happen. And we've had a lot of gremlins, and now we're being able to showcase what we've been trying to showcase for a while now. But, it's you've always got something behind the scenes of bigger, better, and you try to incorporate it into the program, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. So you don't know whether to keep going forward or take a couple steps back and go a different route. So that's the reason Justin's in the game. So he's I just sit in the seat.
Who pushes you? Who pushes you the most out there? I mean, let's face it. Pro mod right now is a dogfight. Everybody's fast. It's just crazy how close everybody is right now, and I think the rules have allowed that as well. But like out there of all your competition, who is it that pushes you the most, or maybe is your rival?
I try not to have rivals. You see everybody succeeding, and you try to support them in the best way you can, and I'm not the type that'll go out there and, throw a wrench in them. And, I don't start anything on the internet, whatnot, but we did have a meeting, in the promo committee that we need to start having a little rivalry, to boost us up. So,
well, even if it's not a rival, there's always that person that kind of pushes you, that It kind of gets you on the edge
He's
of your
saying-
seat, or
he's
even if
saying
they're
he's the
good,
opposite.
even if they're good, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
it could just be somebody, you know, that's good, and you want to go out and, you know, match them. You know, really, there's always people that push you, right?
You know, it's probably Bond.
Yeah.
I love running against Bond. You know, I got to run him last year. I don't know if it was first or second round, and I think we may have been in Charlotte somewhere. And his car, you know, after I did my burnout, I was backing up, and his car was sitting out there, you know, and I'm sitting there going, man, just put it in reverse. You know, we got a race. I don't want to win like this. I'd rather compete and you know, make it to the end, hug each other, and go watch them load up.
He seems to be a guy that a lot of people maybe would have that same answer to that question. J.R. Gray's even got Justin Bond painted on the back of his helmet. I don't know if you saw JR's new helmet, but JR's kind of got the nickname with the Jason, and I think it's a sort of a rendering or illustration of Jason coming after Justin Bond with a machete or something. So he's,
of course he does.
For whatever it is about Justin Bond, he's you know, he's the man with the target on his back for sure.
Yeah.
I need to see this.
Yeah, for real. We need to look on JR's social media, which is usually pretty active. I think he's got a picture of it on there. But I mean, we talked about your career in Pro Mod, but take us through how you ended up in Pro Mod and sort of your drag racing background before you got really to the highest level of door slammer racing.
Yeah. So I run Super Gas for a long time, and my brother and my dad run Top Sportsman. And I only run Super Gas so I can drive my car to the staging lanes and help them on Top Sportsman. And I took a break, growing the family, growing the business, growing the family, you know, personally. And I took a break from drag racing, and I got back into drag racing. We brought a the car I crashed in Chicago. We bought it to run Top Sportsman. Had Lee White tuning in Top Sportsman, which he said it was a pretty phenomenal deal to be able to slow a car down to a 610 for that caliber. You know, we run the Noonan 4.9 with the Roots. And we ran 3 races that we were pretty successful at. We went to Dallas, and it was in the national event where the last race at Pro Mod running at the Motorplex, and I needed to test. And Lee told me, he said the only way to test is to be a pro. And we went and talked to the track. We got Pro Mod license. We tested. Had no desire to run Pro Mod. We just needed to test the car to be able to run the race for the next day. So we went out and licensed for Pro Mod. And next thing you know, Richard Freeman's in my trailer going, well, what are you going to do next? Let's go Pro Mod racing. So,
oh, shit.
It happened.
Whoa. You should have ran, man.
That's typical Richard right there. It can go really good or really bad.
Racing? Yeah, you can see Richard. You know, that's a nice car. You know?
Yeah.
So he introduced us to Justin, and next thing you know is within a few weeks we transport the car to Mooresville, and it's all
the rest is history.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's actually a sort of an underrated story too that hasn't been talked a lot since your win. Was it 2 years ago that you had your crash in Chicago?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 years ago, I think you actually crashed that car that you're talking about that you bought, right, to run Top Sportsman, and ended up buying this car that you're in now that you've run the last couple of seasons. So it's a pretty remarkable turnaround. You know, being new to Pro Mod at that time, I think you were on your lid, weren't you? Upside down at Chicago, and then 2 years later, you come back and you run the table on the place, and you're #1 qualifier. and win the race. So, I mean, what that had to be an extra special feeling for you and probably your family too, that watched you go through that.
It is. You've got to psych yourself out, in the car to make sure that you don't think about that, and just put all the trust in your crew, making a safe car and make a good clean pass. But yeah, it'll always be there. But I think going number one, they say we set an ET record for that track as well. So I haven't seen anything official on that, but
I wouldn't doubt that it is. But that's, I mean, like before now, did you have your confidence back, or did it kind of come in full circle all the way back to a dominating weekend like you had to really go, all right, we're here now. Like we have officially arrived, and I'm a player in this deal.
Justin Elks, he's probably one of the best at making you feel comfortable in the seat. He don't push you to do anything that you don't want to do, but he knows how to reverse psychology things to build them, get you in a seat, make short runs, and make you feel comfortable without you even knowing that you're doing it. So I give it all to him to make everything, for the mindset, be able to crawl in the car and be able to, go as fast as what he says. I mean, he plugs that tune into the to the dash and gives you a fist bump, says, "Hang on."
Yeah, right. I mean, and that's got to be a good, like a guy like that's got the experience and has tuned pro stock cars and is all about efficiency, making the car work, keeping it under control. I mean, that's got to be a lot. Some of these cars, you watch them, they're violent. They got the wheels up. They're really a handful to drive. But it seems like your car, I mean, especially this weekend, I was watching on NHRA TV. It looks like you could maybe could have taken your hand off the wheel once you left the line, and that's got to be a good feeling, like you were saying, to know that the car is going to be under control, and when that happens, then you can do your job as a driver.
Sure, yeah. Q1 went out there and knocked the tires off, so we got back to trailer, and Justin said, "Well, I know what not to do." So
right,
we got that out of the way.
So what's next as you look toward the rest of the season? You're 5th in points right now, sort of halfway. Unbelievably, we're halfway through the season. I think
How's
the next
that
race
even possible?
may I mean we're pretty close to it. I think the next race will mark the halfway point. So sitting there top 5 at the halfway point, what do you? I mean, not to look too far ahead, but is it? Are you looking at the championship right now, or is that the goal or expectations? Or I mean, what do you think this team is capable of as you go into the second half of the season?
The championship's always has always been a dream. It's always been a dream to be able to run Poma. It's been a dream to win a race. We won 2 races. We went into last year to Vegas, number 5 in points. So yeah, the championship's always in mind. So, but thinking forward without making too far ahead, Bristol, we haven't qualified for Bristol yet. So that's our kryptonite. We conquered Chicago on after the crash. We're going to conquer Bristol by qualifying.
So I talked to Justin yesterday, and I told him it looks like you guys have got it down pat when it's cool and you're able to go fast. The track's there, it's cool. You guys are always up front there. Your first win last year at Epping, that always has great atmospheric conditions and is cool. Again, we saw that in Chicago this weekend. So yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Maybe going into a hot, higher elevation, probably high humidity type of situation like that, that may be where we see the growth of the team. If you guys are able to turn around and run well there, then I think you could probably navigate everything on your way to the end of the season. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch.
Yeah, we won Epping last year, and they went to Bristol and didn't qualify. So you got your highs and lows in just a few weeks.
Yeah, we got that out of the way. We won't speak that one into existence again.
We're already done our DNQ, so we got that out in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Mason, after you won, you said you were going to give your daughter the medallion, I think, that they gave you. Yes. Did you give it to her? Was she excited?
Yes, I did. I posted on my Facebook page. So she's that's her favorite thing is to hold the medallion and hold the wally. You know, so now when I come home, you know, if she's asleep in bed, she'll know I'm coming home. She'll come in there and wake me up. You know, be like, "Hey, Dad, did you get my necklace?" I'm like, "Oh,
wow."
You know, she's like, "Well, go back." You know, so
if it were only that easy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's also though. And I mean, in your winner circle, that's really, I think the first thing that came to your mind and what you said right there, as soon as the mic was in your face, was, I can't wait to get home to give my daughter this. I think you called it a necklace in the winner circle as well. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you guys do this as a family, big family man. So that's, and the NHRA Pro Mod schedule, not, you know, being the grueling schedule that the rest of the series runs, 10 race series. Is that part of your motivation to running NHRA Pro Mod versus some of these other deals or some of these other series where it's going to have you on the road more, away from your family or business?
Yeah, it is. And that's one reason why I don't run the winter series. You know, it's I get to
come on now.
Concentrate on hey, don't count me out. We may
yeah.
Someone's on invite.
We'll call Justin and Richard right now. Put together an outlaw car for Mason for winter series. We can have it. We can get it in process.
You know, Richard, he's got a nice car somewhere. So.
Oh yeah, he always does. Yeah. Even if he doesn't, he's gonna find you one.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's that's our reset, Bill, to concentrate back on work. You know, get through the holidays and family and. So the NHRA deal is a lot of fun for me. It is. So now that school's out, family gets to be able to travel with me more. They're coming to Bristol, so I really can't. I can't let them down now. So I've got to. We're gonna chase down for her locally.
Now the expectations are all right. Now you brought one home to her. Now she's gonna need one every time.
Yeah, she'll be in the winner circle with somebody else if I don't win.
I'm sure they'll let her.
Do my necklace.
No problem.
Yeah, hand it over.
Yeah.
Well, man, thanks for taking some time out of your day today, and I'm sure you got to get to the patch. You got to get to the patch bar with Billy Bob, and get a Michelob Ultra. If anybody's not watched Landman, they're totally not getting my reference right now. But
yeah,
we'll let
out.
you.
Yeah, it's not drinking from Billy Bob.
It doesn't count. Yeah.
You know, I thought it was interesting. They've actually come out with Michelob Ultra Zero now, which I didn't think you could get any lighter or less alcohol in a beer than a Michelob Ultra. And now they've just gone all the way and made a zero alcohol Michelob Ultra. So maybe in season 2 of Landman, that's what Billy Bob will be drinking.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Mason. And we'll see you in Bristol.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mason. Have a good one.
Bye.
Y'all too.
All right, T. We need one more script read.
Already?
Yeah, what you got for me this time?
I guess we'll go with Flo.
Oh,
right.
But you already did Flo.
Not Flo. I'm in Stroud. Sorry.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Well, if you're looking to be safe, which I'm usually not, but when I got to go out and I want to be safe, I always pack a Stroud, because if you're going to throw your package out, you want to make sure it's a Stroud to be safe. That one may have to go to HR, actually.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Are we done with script reads, or do we have more?
No, man. I want to make an entire show of just these script reads. These companies are going to love these for sure.
Yeah, right. I meant to type something up next time, right?
Next episode,
I should have had Wes send me the. I thought about it earlier, and then I completely forgot.
Man, that's so you're saying all this was off the cuff? None of this was scripted?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty. I'm impressed. I'm even more impressed. I thought you had that one written out at least.
No.
Throw your package out.
They're either going to love it. They're either going to love it, or the next episode of Wes Buck Show, completely unsponsored. All
everybody from Stroud is such
show.
Nice people that even if they don't like it, they'll probably say they did.
Probably so. Shout out to
I love everybody. I love everybody there. Yeah.
Especially Mama Sue. Mama Sue's always watching and always keeping us in line.
I should have asked him. Ben's on his crew, right?
Ben Stoss, yeah.
Yeah. I got stranded with him at a bar in
Stranded.
Indy. Yeah. Remember that? Like that was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. And well, and he still talks about it. I see Ben up at the shop quite a bit. And he still likes to talk about his adventures with JT every now and then.
Yeah.
They're usually unforgettable.
The closest Uber, every time we get an Uber, we were so far away, I guess, from anybody still driving. You know, it was so late that they're like an hour away and they just cancel.
Oh
Like,
wow.
oh,
Okay.
man.
So you really were
Yeah.
stranded.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So how'd you get home?
Man, I think somebody came and got us from the hotel. I can't remember who the hell came and got us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we've had some adventures in that
Maybe
hotel.
one of the
What's that?
dancers took us home. I don't know.
Oh God.
No.
What is that hotel called that's in Indy? It's an Embassy Suites. But it doesn't look like an Embassy Suites. It's not like an Embassy Suites thing, like where the rooms are all in like whatever in the atrium style setup.
Shout out to Jason Beatty, the bartender there. He makes everybody it's like a 4-finger in one mixer. And he gets everybody upside down. Yeah.
Are you guys coming to Indy this year?
I don't know. We'll see. There's been talk about going to the Yellow Bullet Nationals instead of going to Indy.
Yeah, that's right.
So that may be on the table. So we've never, you always got to make that decision. Ever since Yellow Bullet Nationals launched on Indy weekend, there's kind of that choice. And I mean, there's not a lot of overlap from a racer standpoint, but
this is technically happy hour now. Are you guys not drinking?
I have water.
You got water?
Yeah.
Oh, my beer's like 10 feet away from me right now.
Better grab one.
All right, take me off for just a second. I'm gonna go get it.
You got to take me off. I got to go get mine.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
By myself. Yeah. I talk to myself, Kayla. It's nothing new.
Hey, you're not alone. You have like 100 viewers right now. You're never drinking alone.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. Exactly.
That works.
Do you have any plans for the Memorial weekend?
Man, we did.
Can you believe it's this weekend?
I know, and the weather's going to be awful. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or here it is here, like high 60 and raining. So.
Yeah, that's what we've got too. 60 and
What's
rain.
up?
Yeah, we're talking about Memorial Weekend.
What are you talking about? The weather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I leave for 1 second and you turn into Brett Under.
No, we were talking about what we're going to do for Memorial Weekend. Stacy had this big pool party planned on Sunday, and then somebody was over here and they're like, "Hey, you might want to check the weather. It's not going to be a very nice day to have a pool party."
No, it's not. Yeah. Man, we need that video back from when we used to do the actual legit happy hour. It was like a sweet intro, and we used to drink beer at the end of every Wes Buck show, and somehow we've got
the whole Wes Buck show. So, and I actually did that today because I opened one earlier.
Oh, we got to get that. Nice.
What is that, Mike?
This is a local beer. It's a Noda Brewing, which is a Charlotte thing. It's called a jam
is it
session.
Light?
No,
IPA.
No, it's an IPA.
Mike calls me yesterday and says, "Hey, man, did you see your TikTok with JR Gray or something like that?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Man, he made some phone calls to everybody and made a TikTok." Hilarious. And I go, "Well, it makes sense now. Like we were just getting off my son's 6th grade promotion. We had everybody over here." And he calls and he says, "Hey, man, just laying in bed and thinking about you and wanted to give you a call or something." And I'm like, "What is this?" Like.
That must have been what you said, because he cut yours off pretty quick. Because all he does is answer, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm just laying in bed,
I laugh
about you, and wanted to tell you good night." And you were like, "All right, man," and then it cuts off. So some of them were longer than others. It's actually a pretty damn funny video. Shout out to JR Gray and whoever's making his videos, probably his wife.
Yeah, definitely Hannah, right? Yeah.
Oh,
that was pretty
I'll have to go check it out.
But yeah, we could really speak of JR Gray. That's another one.
I've been crushing everybody out there. That's what he told me.
He couldn't wait. JR's another one that's gotten caught up in the indie bar. There's a lot. I mean, it can go really good there, really bad. That's actually where we hung out with Eric Trump.
Yep.
One time we hung out there for a little bit. There's a lot that goes down at that Embassy Suites indie bar for sure. So I think if we went to the U.S. Nationals, the whole reason we're going is to hang out at that Embassy Suites bar.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of like PRI. I mean,
JW.
really, yeah. That's where you sit and shoot the shit with everybody. And
Well, you really
from the show.
You only go anywhere to drink. I mean, or party. So we know that that's what you're doing no matter what, JT.
Well, it works.
It's networking, right?
That's you. It's gotten you this
Absolutely.
far in life. It's gotten you this far in life, man. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Kayla, didn't you go to Indy this past weekend qualifying?
I did. I was at the IndyCar qualifying at IMS. Yeah, I went. It was fun. We went on Friday. We had sweet tickets, and then we got invited back on Sunday.
Sweet tickets, or sweet tickets.
Sweet, like you get food, drinks, all those good things.
Well,
There's Wes on Uber.
Is that actually
Wes in Uber?
Oh, look,
What's up,
see,
guys?
he couldn't
Hey.
make
He
it.
couldn't handle it.
He couldn't make it through the entire show.
I just
So
landed.
now it's no longer the Les Buck show. You just ruined the whole damn theme of the show.
Here, let me leave. I'll go now.
No,
Now you've made me feel bad.
No, we're just we actually
What's up,
ended
guys? How'd it go?
We did an official happy hour like we used to do.
Oh, no joke.
You know, we used to do every show and have a beer at the end, or you'd have a White Claw or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
I like this idea.
That's it's our idea. We did it for years.
I have baseball games tonight. I'm gonna be like the Bad News Bears. Show up. Hey, I gotta stop and get me some cigarettes on the way to the park.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It'd be cool if you started smoking again. I kind of missed it.
Be like my Uncle Don out there with a beer and a Marlboro 100 hanging out in his mouth. Probably the best baseball coach from our area.
Oh, here, let me do
right?
this.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. So I don't want to be one of the rule breakers. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
like,
That's
like
what I
a
was actually
rookie,
just
like
feeling
you've
bad
never
about.
done.
Donald, you missed it. Donald bought a whole new setup just because he screwed up the show last time. He said,
Really?
Yeah,
Well, I
new
appreciate
computer and
that,
everything.
man.
"Yeah,
I
Dude,
really
yeah.
like
No,
people
Donald
taking the
killed it.
show seriously. You know what I mean? Like I think it's important. Like, hey, we got to take this seriously.
yeah." It's
Donald?
ridiculous when people call in from a car.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
dude,
know.
we hate it when people do everything from the.
At least I have
cab of their
AirPods
truck
in,
or
and I
whatever.
felt like I had decent service.
I had to
So-
wing it on the script reads. Wes, we may have to
Dude,
talk about
JT
that.
script
Oh, you
reads.
missed it.
They're either golden or we're gonna need all new sponsors for next week.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we're prepared for new sponsors at all times. I guess if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do.
So if
Leave
you
it up to
start getting a
JT
lot
to
of-
ruin everything.
Yeah, if you get a lot of feedback from the company's HR departments, then it definitely was JT. But they're solid. He did them off the cuff. I thought they were
Yeah.
funny. I mean, we went with it. We had Donald killed it, talking about next weekend at US 131. Mason Wright coming on here. Kind of got to know Mason a little bit more. A guy that
Great
I think
guy.
a lot of people are just getting to know, and he's making his mark on NHRA Pro Mod. And then Kayla was going to tell us about going to, is it Carb Day? Is that, they still call it that, Carb Day or whatever? Or is
Yeah, well, they still call it Carb Day, but that's this Friday. So
Oh, that's
I forget
this
what they're
Friday.
doing on track, but I think they have,
I've been cutting carbs.
well,
Oh, something different.
it's not that
So-
kind, but I know they have like the pit stop competition, and I think they're on track one more time before Sunday, before the actual race. But yeah, so we went on Friday. It was an open practice. There were like only 1 or 2 cars on the track at a time because they were practicing for qualifying, which took place on Saturday. And then on Sunday, they did a whole bunch of different things. And I'm going to try to remember how it went because I'm still kind of fairly new to IndyCar racing. But it's like they did the Fast 12. So the 12, I don't know, like 12 cars got to come out. And then it was like the bump spot, which was 1 car got bumped. There were 34 cars trying to qualify. Only 33 make the field. And then the Fast 6 got to come back out. And that's like when they qualified for pole.
Yeah,
So it was
it's
a
like
lot
a
of fun.
knockout qualifying deal
There you
or
go.
whatever.
That's-
It is, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
confusing, but I think more and more of these racing series are doing that kind of thing. But
They
it's
are.
IndyCar.
Do you think
I
that
like-
it's an interesting thing that like there's layers of complication and nuance to every one of these motorsports, yet drag racing historically has been the one that's like hidden behind it the most? Does it make sense? Like all these motorsports have all these weird intricacies and nuances, but I don't hear them using them as excuses to not grow. You know
Well,
what I'm
they use
saying? I
them-
think drag
They
racing.
kind of, I feel like they kind of use them like the stage points and the way they do the qualifying and all this stuff. It's like they try to do all this stuff to, what's the word? Increase participation and to like
Right.
make
Right.
sure that there's not too many cars that show up that can't qualify and all this stuff. It's like they've added those complications over the year. It used to be a lot simpler. Like you just go out and you run and you qualify in the order that you got 2 or 3 laps, and that was the number you get. And now it's like they keep introducing all these complications.
Well, it's interesting because like I feel I have been one of these guys that I've told this to JT like 10,000 times that like one of the things holding our sport back is the layer of complexity. You know what I mean? How confusing it is. There's a gazillion different classes and all these things. And I guess in this moment, it's just a little bit of a realization that like, you know what? All motorsports, if not all sports, have those same nuances. You know what I mean? Like even I was talking to Kepner the other night and like he knows nothing about baseball or football, like literally nothing. Like doesn't know the rules of the game, nothing. Right. And outside of generalities, like he's just never paid attention. I just think it's interesting because we've always pointed to that being something that our sport back. But then you look at these other motorsports like IndyCar and go, shit, they're generating complexities and nuance to make it more interesting.
They
What else did you see at the IndyCar?
But they do it on different days and whatnot. Like their headliners,
Right.
Their headline is one class on one day for all the
Yeah,
marbles.
very true.
Right.
Very true.
That is the difference, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see that format arrive in drag racing ever?
I don't know. I'd like to see it.
I think ours is already more structured like that. I mean, as far as the qualifying thing, but
I mean, I
And
was just
they're
thinking
doing
like
the-
some of the issues that like a lot of these series have, and I mean, it's even one of the. If there was one thing that I have heard regarding like the Drag Illustrated Winter Series is like, oh, there's too many cars, and we hear that not from fans, but largely from participants, but I do
too
wonder
many cars
if we're, like,
in Pro Mod.
no, not in Pro Mod, just
Oh.
too many classes, right?
Oh.
Nobody says too many cars in Pro Mod, but it's just like, is there a future where in 5 years, Friday, Saturday, let's just say, is Pro Mod only, and all your other classes are
I think
down
I think a
to-
person could. I think you could do that. I do.
Well,
I
they
think
do
you
that
could
on
run
Sundays at NHRA.
different
Basically,
classes.
they get the sportsmen down to yeah.
limited
Yeah.
cars. I think
Yeah.
that's because I pitched a long time ago that I almost had a feeling. I wrote about it. It's probably been 10 years ago or better. I wrote about it in the magazine that I wonder if it wouldn't be a smart play for the Pro Stock to be a standalone endeavor. Like Pro Stock runs on Saturday, and when Pro Stock is like the main event for Saturday, it's coupled with Top Fuel Funny Car qualifying. The Pro Stock is like the thing, and they don't race on Sunday. The pushback you'll get from racers is they want to be guilty. They want to be guilty by association. They want to race the same day that Ron Capps and Matt Hagan race.
But at the same
but I
time,
also
maybe running
wonder
their
if there's not an
finals in front of
opportunity to absorb all the
packed
spotlight.
stands.
Sure. But they're
Yeah.
doing the
The whole-
Mission Foods
I don't
challenge
know.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
They're
Right.
doing the Mission Foods
Right.
challenge now,
Which
which I think
kinda
they're trying to
serves that
bring
purpose.
some racing. Yeah. Into Saturday.
But it's again, I think
Yeah,
it all
it's
comes down
interesting.
to how good is your presentation and your product on flow or your announcers explaining this to the fans in the stands or the fans that are watching. I think the more complication you introduce, like I turned on that Indy qualifying the other day and I'm like, oh, it's Indy qualifying. You think you're going to be able to just grasp what's going on. No, you got to learn all these nuances.
Yeah.
And unless they're going through all that and explaining it to you, you're kind of lost. So I think that is a big part of it. The simpler you keep it, the more accessible it is for people to just turn it on, understand what's going on, and stay engaged to it. But I don't know. There's all these things that
Pick up wherever it's at. Yeah, because
Right.
Right.
yeah, it is very interesting. Were there any other standout things or stuff that you saw? So the Carb Day is free.
No, you have to have tickets
You
for
have to have
Carb
a
Day,
ticket.
which is this Friday.
the
Okay.
big thing about Indy is the party and the build up, the whole week to it. Like the race again, it's like secondary. It's all about the lead up to it. It really is sort of like anticlimactic. Like the pinnacle of the deal is like an hour before the race starts, when that's like when it hits its crescendo. And then
All the
really, I mean,
pageantry.
the race is exciting. There's no doubt. But people that have been a part of it for the lead up for the week, have been at the snake pit or whatever they call that thing.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Real American Beer.
it's
Yeah, we gotta
peaked
get
way
some more of
before
this.
that. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, there is a
I
lot
think
of
I see that
pageantry.
more and more.
leading
Go
up
ahead.
to it. I mean, like there's
That's good.
qualifying and practicing, and then Friday's carb day, Saturday's the parade, Sunday's the race, and the gates open at 6, so people line up to get in, and then the race doesn't start till like 11. Then they have everybody. They do the driver introductions. They have everybody on the grid. Then they have the flyover, and all of the things. They sing back home again in Indiana, and then then the race starts. And sometimes it can be interesting, though. I mean, it is a lot just to watch them go around, 200 laps, 500 miles. But there are accidents. There's, lots of interesting things that can happen during the race. But
A lot of people are there for
quite long.
the accidents.
Yeah. It keeps
But
it
I think a
interesting.
lot of people, the most interesting thing about it for me is that I think a lot of people could be a part of that 4 hour, 3 hour, 5 hour, 6 to 11 a.m. window, watch the green flag get waved, and then walk out and be completely satisfied with the money they spent, the experience they had, and they'll watch the race at home.
You're part of the experience, right? They took a picture, they posted it on Facebook or whatever, or Instagram. They got their social media likes or whatever that feeds them, and then and got to experience a little bit of it, and they didn't have to fight the crowd.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Every year that
early.
I've been, I've never seen the end of the race because we always leave early because we don't want to fight the traffic, and we watch the race at home. It's fine.
Like football games, when I go to Arrowhead or something, I stay to the bitter end usually. I always do. But
You're committed.
But on other things, like the Masters, I think when me and Brett were at the Masters, I think he thought that I was going to be there till like the last person hit on the range, And once I saw everything and saw we walked backwards and saw everybody, I was perfectly fine. Of course, we had that really kick-ass Magnolia Club to go to party at. I was perfectly fine to go back to there because now I'd seen it, I'd experienced it, I saw the players, I've seen them before. I was fine with it. And you couldn't have cell phones in there, so you didn't know where anybody was charging or anybody was,
Yeah,
So
that's the key. That's another cool thing about that deal is the no cell
live
phones.
sports has gotten
And
so
I've
good
seen a
on
lot
TV.
I've seen a lot of things talking about taking phones away at other sporting events. And I almost think that if you're committed, like you said, JT, live sports are so good on TV now. If you're committed to going to that event, you almost need your phone taken away from you so that you can immerse yourself in it, be in the moment, and sort of just embrace the uniqueness of being at the event instead
People
of trying to also watch
Right.
it on your phone. Or
People
or
don't live the
whatever.
moment as much anymore. I noticed that a lot.
There's no way.
Even partying and stuff, like everybody's got their phone in their hand recording. You see it at drag races on the starting line all the time.
I love the way partying is like it's a verb in JT's world. It's like,
it is.
What are we doing today? Jogging? Are we mountain biking? Are we going rock climbing? No, partying.
Well,
Just
I partied so
broadly.
hard, my legs are sore the next day. I
Yeah,
go,
true.
so. But it is. It's like, but you're missing out on the moment sometimes, trying to catch the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%. The whole world is caught up in that now with phones. I mean, everyone's more worried about photos and documenting it and then getting it posted and sharing it on social that they're not even really there at the event. And you go with a group of people and you're ignoring your friends that are there. I think that's super underrated. Like even not going to the Masters or going to like the PGA at Quail Hollow here in Charlotte. They have designated areas where you can use your phone, and you're not supposed to use your phone or even have it out like anywhere near the tee box or anywhere on the course. And that makes you more present. Just the fact that that it's kind of restricted. So maybe it's not an all-out ban like Masters has, but just those kind of restrictions also helps you help yourself enjoy the event more.
It does, and it helps you talk to the person next to you. Because it's just a nervous tick anymore. If you're standing next to someone instead of actually conversing with them, we have a little dead time here, straight down at the phone, and head buried, almost like putting your head in the sand for a second so you don't have to talk to anybody, right?
Oh yeah, like grabbing your phone is like a strategy in this day and age to avoid human interaction.
And I saw that Jim Parks is only 35 minutes. Yellow Bullet is only 35 minutes from his house.
We were talking about going to Yellow Bullet instead of going to Indy. And we were talking about how our only motivation to go to Indy would be to hang out at that Embassy Suites bar. That's where it all goes down.
Yeah, I'm going to Yellow Bullet. You two are going to Yellow Bullet. Yeah. So
well, Jim, how many couches
it's going to be
do
the
you
end of
have,
an era,
boy?
man.
Jim's probably, Jim's killing it. He's probably got a nicer basement than you got, JT.
Good.
I
We'll
think
put it to
that
good use.
I'm excited about it. I mean, for me, this is Mike, you've gone to Indy with me for probably 10 years solid now. I've been going for 20 years. Yeah, I think this would have been the 20th year in a row. And I'm going to break that streak because I want to go see Jim Halsey drop the bomb on that Pro Nitrous Camaro. So, anyways.
He had it out. He had it out at Cecil County. I got some spy shots and some spy numbers that I can't tell anybody about. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay, we'll tell them to me as soon as we get off the show.
Tell us right here, and we won't tell nobody.
Okay, yeah. No, that's exciting, man. I'm geared up for Yellow Bullet. I think it's going to be, I don't know. It feels long overdue. I appreciate what it represents for the sport. I appreciate the group of people that event exists for. Yeah, I'm genuinely excited about it. I really am.
Good deal, man. Well, this was the almost Wes Buck free episode of the show. We made it. That's kind of felt like a conference call that we start and we get almost all the way through. And then Wes pops in on the 2 minutes before we're about to end. And then we have to start over.
I didn't think you guys would still be on here. I was just going to watch. And then I thought, well, they sent me the link. So I click it. And I literally walked out of baggage, jumped in an Uber. And you guys were still on here. So I thought I'd say, hey, I appreciate Mason and Donald coming on and helping you guys hold down the fort.
Yeah, dude, it was fun, man. Me and JT have been talking about doing this for a long time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
All right. You want to wrap us up, Wes, or what?
No, you guys go ahead. I feel like my connection is sketchy. So I'll let you guys close out the show. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining them, Kayla. And I'll talk to you guys in a few.
Love y'all.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was the almost Wes Buck free episode. First in 390 or whatever plus that we're at. Thanks again, Donald Long, Mason Wright, and both of you and Kayla joining us. We got to make this a more regular thing, Kayla. Got to get you on here.
And happy birthday.
Yeah, love to. Oh, with my little party hat.
Oh. All right. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Later.